Hey there. So today's tutorial is going to be how to create a time tracking Notion board. This is going to be set up to provide visibility for both yourself as well as your clients. So if you're working with a freelance client in marketing, web development, SEO, etc., usually what will happen is you will be tracking tasks, but you will also be tracking hours, obviously, for each of those tasks so that you can provide that visibility to your client and obviously charge them as well. So what I've been setting up is essentially a way to provide that and do it as automatically as possible so I don't have to be doing any data entry because I'm very lazy. So the first thing you need is some sort of time tracking app. I'm using Daily, which is just one option. However, there is many options. And the only qualifying factor is the fact that it needs to have some sort of CSV export with the activity name as well as the duration. Okay, so once you have that CSV export, what you need to do is upload it to Google Drive and share it. And when you click share, it's obviously going to give you a link. And you don't need to necessarily open up the access because it is still going through, well, the way that it will be accessed is through your own Google account. So when you get that sharing link, you can get this ID here. And we actually do need to copy that ID for later. So once you've set up your time tracking application and you've got a way to export this, keep that for later, that ID. So the way that this works is with Google Apps Script. Now, the reason I've used this is because it's obviously hosted by Google, which means that I don't have to use a VPS or some other, paid hosting situation. This, as part of Google Apps, if you do have a Google Workspace account or potentially even a personal Google account, you'll be able to use this completely free. The only charge is going to be a OpenAI API key, and this is something that you will need to pay for. So to set up a open API key, you can use Google for that. I won't show you how to do that in this tutorial, but you just need to get that key. That is essential as well. The next thing you need to do is download the code for this project. Now, here is the GitHub repo, and I'll also provide a link to this. You need to copy and download that zip file. Alternatively, what you can do if you've already got Google Apps set up is just create the files manually and just copy the code across. That also works. However, if you want to do it a little bit more, I guess, profesh, then you can obviously download that zip file, open it up in a code editor such as VS Code, and you can use the Google Apps Script CLI application called Clasp. Now, once you've installed Clasp, you just do that with npm install Google Clasp. You can do Clasp login with the same Google account that you're going to be using for the summary CSV. And then you can create a new Google Apps Script project and you can navigate into that project and then you push it. You push it up, Clasp push, and then you should find that all those files are input there. Now, the things we need to update is obviously the summary file ID, which again is the one that we needed before. Second thing we need is the open API key. Now, this is something that you'll need to put in as well. And you can see that it is being set up as a bearer token. And these tokens are actually set up in the configuration. So you can see this here. We have this script ID and we have some API keys as well. So we do need to put those in. So the only thing that we actually need to put in is this open API key, which is this one here. Okay. And the only other thing we need is a Notion API key and a Notion config database ID as well. You can disregard everything else. So to get the API key, again, I'm not going to show you how to do that, but you can figure out using Google how to do that API key and get that secret. To give you a top level summary of how to do that, what you need to do is create a database or something similar and create it's essentially a private app. So you can manage connections here and then go through the process of creating an app. And then you do need to connect it as well. So you need to make sure that the app that you create is always connected to any database in Notion that you want to access using your script. So once you get that key, you also need to set up a config database ID. And that's what I've created here. So you can see that that matches here. Now this database ID is going to let the script know how to categorize tasks. So you might be using your task tracking system for work-related tasks, for your clients, but you might also use it for some personal or internal work-related tasks as well. So what we need to do is set this up so that you have a name and a category and a database ID. So this name is going to be relevant to how it's going to be categorized based on OpenAI. So for example, if you have a task here called client work, it's obviously going to know that it is client and it's for the client FoodCube in this case. For personal, you can see that I've got personal here, and these are also automatically going to be categorized under personal as well because they're not related to a specific client. What we also need to do is put in a database ID for each individual client slash, other category here. And you can see that I've done that here. The ID for the database is this here. So you need to copy after the slash and before the question mark. You need to make sure that it's in your database. And once you have all these fields set, you need to take the ID from the database and put it back in as a property here, Notion config database ID as well. So again, to reiterate, we need to put in the Open API key. We need to put in the Notion config database ID. We need to put in the Notion API key. We need to have this database set up, and we need to ensure that it's connected to the app that you set up with that API key. And if you create any other databases as well, you also need to make sure that they're connected also to that app. Once you've done all of that, then what you'll find is it should just work, hopefully. So what you do then is you can run this script, and what it will do is it will go through each of these tasks. It will categorize them based on your config database, and it will put them into the relevant project, essentially. And you can see here that I have some categories for the client, and I've got the duration, and the duration is in hours, which will obviously help you understand how much you're spending, as well as your client understand how much time you're spending on each of these tasks. Let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, good luck creating an awesome system for your freelance clients. Thanks.